Hey everyone, thank you all for tuning in to the 2021 Commissioners Playoff Report. I'm Tony Pugh, Commissioner of the CLYC Fantasy Football League, and I want to welcome you all back to the studio here in Frankfort, Michigan. We have another great show lined up for you guys, and we have a couple guests joining us. So let's just jump right into it and talk about the playoffs.
Here is your 2021 championship bracket. This year's bracket features some new faces that we've rarely seen in the playoffs, as well as some that we've seen many times before. Thanks to the rule changes this year, we do not have a wild card as we have in the past. Every single team that made it to the playoffs did so by winning their division. It's an exciting bracket because half of the competitors fighting it out in this year's playoffs have never won a championship. So we have a good chance of seeing someone new hoist the trophy for the first time ever. This year's number one seed is #FreeBrittany, who has had the most dominant team all season, scoring the most points in the league en route to a 12-3 season. Aaron is making his second playoff appearance, and his team is definitely the favorite to win the championship from top to bottom. The number one seed has gone on to win the championship 5 years straight, and Aaron looks to continue that trend this year. Attempting to overthrow him in round one is Chenault Pass, who delivered a clutch win this week to punch his ticket to the playoffs. He overcame epically unfavorable odds to fight his way in, but now that he is in, Chris looks to ride the wave to a possible second championship. In our other championship matchup, we find number 2 seed T-Dog to the Mooney, who is also hoping to take home his second championship. Tony, who used to be a playoff regular, is looking for redemption after being held out of the playoffs the last 2 years. Tony slots in this year as the number 2 seed, taking on number 3 seed Lamar's Lament. Scott is making his second playoff appearance ever and looks to shake off his years of blue ball memories by making a run for the championship. Scott's team is the dark horse this year, as this team can be sneaky good at times, so don't expect this team to go down without a fight. Best of the Rest bracket this year features some of the season's top teams, including number 5 seed Blue Ball, who battled for the number 1 overall spot this year until performance dipped late in the season. Chris's team was one of the strongest this year, scoring the second most points in the league. However, he finished 2 games back of his division and winds up the top seed of this bracket. Chris takes on his division rival, the number 8 seed Goat Simulator, whose team had shockingly bad schedule luck to start the season and could never climb out of the hole. This will be their 4th matchup this season, with Franca leading the series 2-1. Our other matchup features number 6 seed, the Hertzlocker, taking on number 7, name here so I won't get fined. Both of these teams have put up similar seasons this year points-wise, so this should be an interesting matchup. This year's Blue Ball bracket includes our 2 most recent champions in the CLYC Fantasy Football League. That's right, our league champions from 2019 and 2020 find themselves as the number 11 and number 12 seed. Last year's champion, Chilhowie Whalers, find themselves in a familiar position, having now appeared in the Blue Ball bracket in 5 out of the last 6 years. This team is looking at a real possibility of going from worst to first, back to worst, after having captured the title of Mr. Blue Balls in 2019 and winning the championship last season. Brevard looks to avoid his 3rd Blue Ball title, but is the odds-on favorite to do so this year. Our other matchup features number 11, Young Hoes Do It Better, who snapped a 10-game losing streak this week after winning the last game in the regular season. Warren takes on number 10 seed, Why Javante Act Like That, who fell into the Blue Ball bracket in the final 2 weeks of the season after being a mid-tier team all year long. 3 of our 4 Blue Ball teams have never taken home the Blue Balls and hope that trend continues. However, all 4 of these teams scored less than 150 points last week, which doesn't bode well for avoiding that fate. Will we have a new Mr. Blue Balls for 2021, or will we have our first 3-time winner? In our first matchup, we see this year's number 1 seed, #FreeBritney, taking on the number 4 seed, U Chenault Pass. These two teams had totally different paths to make the playoffs. Aaron's team was dominant all season long and led his division by 2 to 3 games for a majority of the season. Chris's team, however, started the season off as one of the worst teams in the league, at some points being the number 12 seed. However, after starting out the season 2-7, Chris won 5 out of the next 6 games to end with a 7-8 record. Chris becomes the first team in league history to make the playoffs with a losing record, mostly in part because his division was just so bad, which allowed him to climb out of that massive hole. It's obvious that Aaron's team is the clear favorite for the championship this year after putting up the most points in a season in league history. Aaron had the most games over 200 points scored, as well as leading the league in number of weeks with most points scored. Not only was Aaron's team explosive, but it was also consistent, being the only team in the league that never scored below 140 points. Aaron's season wasn't without difficulty though, as he also led the league in number of players who were placed on IR, 19 in total this season. 9, this team has actually scored the second most points in the league and has had only 1 game below 179 points during that span. It's truly a shock to see this team in the playoffs, considering he has had the second most games scoring under 160 this year, but that's what this team has become accustomed to this year, shocking the world. Will he keep it up and shock the world by taking down the number 1 seed in the first round for the first time since 2015?
So now that we've looked at the stats and we've analyzed the matchup, let's bring these guys in here and hear what they have to say. We'll start, of course, with our number 1 seed, Aaron Wills, who's joining us via video chat. Aaron, you're the top seed this year, man. Congrats.
CLYC 2021 fantasy champ hopeful, favorite, best team, best record.
Yeah, I'd call you and your team the favorite.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a Tony the Tyrant, the commissioner, on the line. Tony, will you just give me a moment and reflect on my season as you see?
You're the number 1 seed, and I just called you the favorite. Not sure what else you want from me here.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, well, why don't you talk to us maybe about some of the other guys in the league?
Shout out to Rivard and Ethan, just probably like he likes it in the bedroom. He likes both ways, top or bottom. Shoot your poison. He likes both. Then we have Warren, who is just atrocious. Like Warren, real bad. Don't even know how you are in the league with how bad you are. But you're gonna come up with some sorry excuse and be like, "Oh, I was a champ," But really, you just suck. And yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of shitty teams. People don't really make moves, don't want to trade, do anything. So maybe we'll figure that out some year. But also, we have, I don't know, a lot of people that are maybe mad, sad, not really sure, confused. Per se, Dow missed playoffs, 9-6, second most points, third most points, somewhere in there. Not sure where he and Tony ended up. But yeah, we should definitely not have 4 divisions. 2 divisions and a wild card would suffice.
Yeah, well, as you know, having 4 divisions was what the league voted for, so that's why we have it. Seemed to work out pretty well for you.
All right, good day.
Oh, okay. Well, shortened to the point, I guess. Kinda. Guess he had to get going or something and didn't have much time for us. Maybe he's got another trip to Caldera planned and he's leaving for that. All right, but up next, we're going to talk to Aaron's opponent. Chris Peterson is joining us live. Now, Chris, straight out the gate, I got to ask you about that crazy finish to the regular season that catapulted you here to the playoffs. Can you share your reaction to such a wild twist of events that landed you here? Chris? You okay? Chris?
I mean, I apologize for my lack of response there, but I mean, you gotta sympathize with me. I mean, we were staring blue balls in the face for a few. I mean, not a few minutes. We were staring, down that dark tunnel there, and it didn't look pretty, given our season. But holy cow, couldn't have had a better uh, exit out of the season. I mean,
Yeah, I hear you on that. It certainly got pretty sketchy there for a bit. Now, where are you right now? This doesn't look like the same place you've called in from the past couple years.
oh yeah. The change of location. Yeah, it's we're not recording from where we usually do. We are in our temporary HQ right now down in Houston. 12-year-old niece's bedroom. It's a good spot. Honestly, this is our, the center of our operations here for the time being. We've met up with other managers in the league in Houston. Split some brisket and split some barbecue together, and there's some animosity, but you got to work past that. Break bread together. Okay.
Hey, that sounds fun. So let's talk about the playoffs. You're playing Aaron in round one, and he's the number one seed and the odds on favorite to win the championship. What's going through your mind?
You know what? We have every reason, to be intimidated or scared, of the opponent here. Most points scored, yeah, all these metrics, it's bullshit. Fantasy football is a crazy game, right? And we're a goddamn wild card here, and we're proud of it. And you know why I think we'll be successful is, well, we don't give a fuck, honestly. We don't have any F's to give. We've declined every shitty trade offer that Mr. Wills has put forth. We're not going to play into his game here. And to be honest, we're not even going to watch the fantasy football playoffs because every time we got any somewhat sort of invested in anything this season, went down the toilet. I mean, every left turn, right turn, injury here, excuse there, what have you. But we've had terrible luck anytime me, the manager, stepped on the sideline and started watching any sort of football. So I'll tell you what, we'll check in every now and then, but, we're here and we're just glad we're not fighting for those big old hairy blue balls.
Okay, now I know you say you don't care, but you are playing the top seed this week. And he has told me multiple times over the past month that he was actually hoping you would make the playoffs instead of Al because he wanted to play you since you're an easier matchup for him. What do you say to that?
We get it, Aaron Wills, he's aggressive out of the gate, he's confident, but you got to be concerned for the guy. I mean, when you're locked away in a remote facility, kind of away from human beings, you got to be worried. Your brain kind of rots after a while, especially when your best friends are chickens. I mean, that's kind of fucked up.
Yeah, Chris, I agree. I think he might be counting his chickens before they hatch too, if he thinks this is going to be an easy win for him. Thanks for joining us, man, and good luck in the playoffs.
Our second matchup features number 2 seed T-Dog to the Mooney and number 3 seed Lamar's Lament. Scott and Tony meet again in the playoffs, and this game should be close. Tony's team battled for the number 1 seed all season long, but ends the season with an 11-4 record, scoring the 3rd most points this season. Over the last 4 games, this team has had the highest average score with 198.8 points, with 3 of those 4 weeks having scores over 190. Not only has this team had the most points over the last 4 weeks, but it has actually scored the most points in the league since week 9. a period in which he scored less than 185 points only once. This team has also been explosive, racking up the most games, scoring over 225 in the league this year. Scott's team has been hot and cold this season. Scott started out the year 2-4, but won his next 7 straight games before losing his final 2 of the season. Scott's team had the biggest turnaround of the year, having scored an average of 20 points per week more in the second half of the season than the first half. Scott's winning streak in the middle of the season was aided by the fact that this team had actually had the easiest schedule in the league, with fewest points against. He looks for another turnaround this week, as his previous 2 did not fare so well, averaging only 153 points. This team can be explosive when his players fire on all cylinders, so it's definitely a scary team to face off against in the playoffs. The 2 teams split the season week to week, so it's anyone's guess as to who will come out on top.
Now, I'm being told that Scott has called in and is fired up and ready to go. So we're going to head over and talk with him right now. Scott, it's great to have you here joining us.
Well, Commissioner, thank you for having me. It is great to be back with you tonight after a couple of seasons out in the wilderness. We are back. I could not be prouder of these guys. You know, this franchise has known a lot of ups and downs. We started off somewhat notoriously with a couple downs, but we are up now, and we are acting like we've been here before because we have. But boy, does it feel good to be back.
Now, your team wasn't looking so great at the start of the season, but your team has made a pretty big recovery and has been averaging 20 points per game more in the second half of the season than it was in the first. That's a pretty big jump. How did you manage that sort of turnaround?
You know, I especially want to thank a couple of our guys by name. That would be Jonathan Taylor and Joe Mixon. Yeah, they left it all out there on the field and got us a lot of good points. Couldn't be prouder of them. Glad to have them on board.
Okay, so you were without your starting quarterback last week, and it's never easy to lose the namesake of your team. So will you guys be able to hang on with the playoffs coming up?
Yeah, you know, we are all lamenting Lamar's injury. Sad to see it happen. Look, this is football. It happens. You get knocked down. You get back up again. I'm not worried. I think we're going to be fine. I think we're going to be just fine.
Now, I mentioned that your team had a turnaround, but you're coming off 2 down performances and back-to-back losses. Will that affect your mentality heading into the playoffs?
Oh, look, it's never fun rolling in off of a defeat. Hats off to name goes here, so I won't get fined. Played a hell of a game, but we're just looking forward to this coming weekend. Our thoughts and our energies are on the future, not the past.
Right. Okay. So then let's talk about the future. In your round 1 matchup this week, you play Tony. And much like your team, he wasn't the favorite to win his division for most of the season either. Are you surprised to see him in the playoffs?
No, I agree with you completely. I was shocked to see Tone Dog to the Mooney make it to the playoffs. I don't think any of us saw that coming. I don't think his owner saw that coming. In fact, I'm hearing rumors around the locker room that this guy double brokered his way to the top. But you know what? I think we've got his MC, and we will be taking him down this coming weekend.
Now, if you recall back in 2018 for your last playoff appearance, you were taken down in the first round by a team called Make America Gronk Again. And that team ended up losing in the finals. Any truth to the fact that that game was rigged?
Look, Commish, I'm not really sure why you'd ask that, but yeah, I do believe that Joe Biden won the election.
Now, this week there has been a huge spike in COVID cases, which is leading to many players being unable to play in games and has been disrupting the league schedule. First of all, are you vaccinated so that you will be able to travel with the team this week? Or are you holding off until you see more data from the studies of the vaccine's microtechnology?
Well, I'm going to have to disagree with you there, Commish. No, I do not believe the vaccines have nanobots in them. But to answer your first question, yes, I am fully vaccinated.
Now, I heard that there may be a little bit of a brotherly love issue going on and that your success in the league this year is causing a bit of resentment from your brother as he watches you make the playoffs while he sits at home on the bench? Maybe taking a little of the spotlight off him and creating a little jealousy? I mean, what is your take on this? Are you the better Gosnell? Are you guys going to be able to get past this, or how are you going to settle these differences?
Hoping that we can reconcile our differences sooner rather than later. And I think both sides, I think all sides are going to have to come together and just hug this one out. So we'd love to see it. Look, we'll settle as much of the score as we can on the field, but after that, it's about coming together.
Now, if you're able to win the championship this year, that would make you the 8th champion in 9 seasons. And I have to imagine that winning the championship after all those years of blue balls would feel amazing. How would you celebrate that accomplishment?
That's a good question, and there is a simple answer. Alcohol. Lots and lots of alcohol.
All right, Scott. Well, we appreciate you joining us and wish you good luck in the playoffs. All right, now we will move over and talk to the owner and general manager of the number 2 seed this year, who will be taking on Scott. Please welcome Tony, who is joining us from outer space.
T-Dog to Houston, do you have a copy?
Copy, T-Dog. This is Houston. What's your status?
Well, Houston, after 15 weeks, it appears we are finally approaching the Mooney.
Roger, T-Dog. Incoming transmission from Mr. Commissioner.
Copy, Houston. Over and out.
Hey there, Mr. Commissioner. Welcome to Starship T-Dog.
Are you really in space right now?
I mean, look around and you tell me. It's not like this is a green screen or something. Yeah, let me flip you over to the other camera so you can see what I'm looking at. It's quite the view, isn't it?
Well, it looks pretty awesome. If you have a few minutes, we'd like to get your take on your team and this season.
Sure, yeah, just let me get out of the control room and head over to a different area and we can talk. Alright, we're in a much better area of the ship now. So what was your question? I think you asked me how my season's gone. Well, it's been great. We started out strong by having what we consider to be a very strong draft, but we've had to continue to battle all season long. You know, we were placed in the hardest division this year, and it's been a challenge to say the least. I have to give some credit to my division rivals. They put up a hell of a fight, and at times we thought we wouldn't even make it to the playoffs. But here we are. I need to give a shout out to Blue Ball because those guys were in the same boat as me last year. We were both in the Blue Ball bracket and had a hell of a comeback this season with us scoring the second and third most points in the league. So those guys definitely gave us a run for our money, but I'm glad we were able to pull it off in the end.
Yeah, you guys definitely had a good turnaround, but how did you manage that?
Well, we all worked incredibly hard during the off-season to prepare, and then kept working hard during the season. A season like this is all about the guys in the locker room. I might be the brains behind the operation, but they're the heart and soul of this organization. One of the highlights of the year is a guy we drafted at the end of the 4th round named Cooper Kupp. That man has been an absolute machine week in and week out for us. He's been the top wide receiver in football this year, and it's not even close. I can't stress enough how valuable that is to a team. Another wide receiver whose performance we've liked and has been overshadowed by Kupp is Hunter Renfrow. We saw him play in week 1, and we went out and signed him immediately for the season. He's been a solid performer, nothing flashy, but he's been reliable. And reliability wins you games and gets you to the playoffs.
Now, this is your 6th playoff appearance, which is a league record. Do you think you'll be able to get your 2nd championship?
That's a great question. I think it's going to be a challenge. Our team has been strong, but it hasn't been dominant. We've had our ups and downs. I know I mentioned some of our dominant players, but we've had some injuries that we've been dealing with all season long. We've had a carousel of players in and out of IR. 15 players this year have spent time on IR, and that's not to mention the little onesie-twosies where guys spend a week or two on the bench due to injuries. So it's been tough. It's sad to say, but we just found out this week that one of our season-long starters has been lost to injury for the season. It's a real shame because Abraham was a consistent performer on defense, putting up about 10 points per week as a defensive back, so replacing him is going to be some big shoes to fill. Just moments ago, before we joined the show, we found out that our first-round draft pick, Dalvin Cook, has been declared out due to COVID. So this is a big loss for us, but luckily we have his backup on reserve all season long just for this situation. It's why you use the bench spot to carry the handcuffs. So just an unfortunate situation for us to be dealing with these losses at such a crucial point, but we'll fight on like we have all season and hope for the best.
Yeah, that's pretty brutal to deal with right at the start of the playoffs. Now, you do play Scott this week, and he seemed pretty confident that he will be able to, quote, take you down. So what do you have to say to those comments, and do you think you can advance to the finals?
Well, not to jinx myself here, but I've made the playoffs 5 times before with this being number 6, and not once have I made the playoffs and not advanced to the finals. If you recall, my last playoff appearance was in 2018, and that year our round 1 opponent was Scott. So we've been in this exact situation before, and I expect the results to be the same. Scott's team is good, and he has some all-stars of his own, there's no doubt about that. But I do expect to come out on top.
Okay, well, if you do advance to the finals, what do you expect?
Well, as I mentioned before, our team has been good, but not dominant. Hashtag Free Britney has had a great season and is definitely the favorite to win the championship. But, I keep my eye on his round 1 competitor. You shall not pass. Chris is a former champion and has been a playoff regular the past few years. And his team has gotten hot at the right time. And I saw the move he made, the great pickup on the waivers this week, grabbing Eckler's backup. So who knows what to expect for that matchup. But I think Aaron's getting a little nervous right now. In the end, I'm just happy to be in the playoffs.
All right, Tony. Well, good luck during the playoffs and safe travels, my friend.
Well, thank you, Mr. Commissioner. Really appreciate you having us on the show. D-Dog to the booty!
All right, guys, there you have it. You've heard from all 4 competitors this year. We've looked at the stats. We talked about the season so far. But none of that matters now. It's all about points on the board and who can back it up. It's put up or shut up time, boys. So let's see who will be able to fight their way to glory. Will we see our 8th first-time champion crowned? Or will we see our 2nd ever 2-time champion? Tune in this week to find out. On behalf of the CLYC Fantasy Football League, I'd like to thank all of our league members for another fun season, and we hope you had fun too. Enjoy your holidays and good luck in the playoffs.